Hey, this is Danielle, and today we're going to learn how to corpse some skeletons.
Hey, this is Danielle over at DIYDanielle.com, and today I'm going to be corpsing some skeletons. So, this is what they look like. There are a lot of ways to do this. There's all over the internet, but I wanted to do something that was easy, simple, and still looked good. And I think this works. To be honest, it looks pretty legit. So what we're using today is we're going to need some drop cloths. We use the plastic ones from the Dollar Tree, $1 a piece. And I'm also going to be using some spray foam. That's not necessary. I didn't do it for most of them, but I want spray foam in one of them, so we're going to do that. I'm also going to have some stains. And let's see, gloves. You definitely want gloves because we're going to be staining. You want some throwaway brushes, and then you're going to need some stain. So I have used 3 different stains. This one is Provincial Wood Stain. You may also want some paper towels, just a heads up. Oh, and a heat gun. You need a heat gun. Sorry, forgot that part. I've used black, ebony stain, and I had one other stain. I'm going to list the stain types on the blog post I do with pictures of each one so you can see what the different ones look like. The one I did with the other head was red oak. And yeah, so you're going to want some paper towels too, possibly. I didn't use them for the first one, but especially if you plan to, if you really need to finish these fast and you don't have lots of time for it to dry, you're going to want to blot them a little bit afterward. Okay, so the first part of this project is to grab our, let me rephrase. You may want to use the spray foam if you're going to be using, if you want to make guts coming out. So I'm going to try spray foam on this first. I'm going to show you what that looks like actually. I'll do that first and then let that dry, and then we'll do the other ones that I'm not using spray foam on. This, go like this. Ah, there we are. Ah! Okay, let's try it. We're going to get started on some of these. So I've got some heads. You can see I actually melted this one on accident trying to do a different project. Don't ask. We are going to take our anatomically incorrect critters here and we're going to start with them. They're a little bit on the smaller side and easier to do. These are the drop cloths from the Dollar Tree. You're going to need quite a few of them. Depending on how many you're going to be doing. So the first thing we're going to do, I'm going to start with this back because this is really what I want to do. You are going to lightly wrap them with the plastic, and you're going to just tear strips off. And you want it to be light, so you may come back through and do additional layers, but the first, each layer needs to be one level. It just looks better that way. So if you bulk up too much, we had that problem before. If you bulk up too much, it just doesn't look good. So once you wrap it, and again, doesn't need to be special or particularly fancy. You're gonna hit it with your heat gun, and this is gonna melt it to the skeleton. You don't wanna stay in one spot too long, but you're just gonna be melting, and then you're gonna keep layering, and you put more layers over areas that would normally have more flesh, and fewer over areas that would have less, like face, well, yeah, face. A hair dryer will kind of work, but it's not as good, so just keep that in mind. Heat guns are not super expensive. They're like $20, $30 or something, so. Now sometimes I take scissors or a knife to just cut stringy areas where there wouldn't be stringiness. You gotta think like a serial killer. Yeah, so you just want to cut away areas like this. You're not gonna have flesh here. This doesn't make any sense. There's no flesh normally here, but there would be flesh right here. So you can have stringiness, in these kind of zones, but some of it you're gonna want to cut away. And I just come along and just do one of these. You can also melt it closer to it sometimes, depending. But yeah, scissors are a little easier. Heat guns are very hot, so you always want to work on some concrete. Make sure you're not going to burn the house down. Make sure your heat gun isn't laying on its own cord or anything else that could be dangerous. Do the same thing with this guy. If you're not happy with something going on, you can actually carve this away. The foam can be just kind of moved around, but I'm going to just try it as is. Okay, so this is the last part. It's really not difficult. We are just going to paint this with stain, let it dry, and then flip it and stain the other side. You may want to just pat it down after a few minutes of drying with a paper towel, because otherwise it takes a lot longer to dry. So it's just something to keep in mind. If you keep it out in the sun though, to dry off, that kind of speeds things up. In the garage, it takes a little longer. Just letting these dry in the sun, hoping they will dry quicker because our trail is on tomorrow. So this is looking pretty good, but it's a little lighter than I wanted, so I'm going to actually just paint some black and some red on just to add to it. So when you add the red in, I think maybe the red might be good to do before the black, because then you can kind of blend it a little, but it's still blended because the black was still pretty wet. So kind of blended it all in. Gonna do this one too. But yeah, it's pretty simple. Just pop a little red in there. And here are some of the final results. I'm pretty happy with these. I have been trying to decide if I want to add a little black to this or not, but overall, super excited and really revved up for our trail this weekend. Thanks so much. Have a great day, and check out my blog, DIYDanielle.com.